been excited about a chance to spend some time with the legendary Chet Coppock, talk about his new book, his autobiography, Laying It on the Line. He's the godfather of sports talk radio. Chet, good morning.
Let me tell you, that was so good that when I kick, please make sure you're in the chapel to give my eulogy.
Well,
I mean, that was, I was almost in tears listening to all that. That was just, my gosh.
well, you're the guy. I mean,
Only one third of that is true.
you and Scott had an opportunity to work together. You and I have never worked together, but I've been a fan of yours forever. I saw you at a Bulls game one time. I couldn't complete my day without checking out Coppock on sports. So, I'm just thrilled that you got a couple of minutes in your day for us.
No, I'm very, very happy to be here with you guys. You do a great job, and this is actually very much an honor for me.
So, Chet, we talked to you last book, Fat Guy Shouldn't Be Dancing at Halftime. I'm sure it's on the mantles of many a listener out there. The new one...
Well, actually, it's on eBay right now for about a penny a book.
The new one, though, is called Laying It on the Line. It's more personal. It's more autobiography. The sports stories were in the last one. This book is really about Chet Coppock.
Yeah, very much, and it's warts and all. I really bare my soul, and I talk about a lot of demons that haunted me throughout my life, battling depression for over 30 years, and talk about a lot of highs and lows, and the politics of the industry, and the backstabbing that goes on in this business that we're all very, very much aware of. What I wanted to do in reality, guys, was create a book where those people who know me would get a thorough and complete self-examination by me of me. Now, I call out a lot of people in the book, but the one person I call out the most is me. Then I thought to myself, I want to write a book that is going to allow people to look at the broadcast business, not from the outside in, but from the inside out, again, to see what the politics are all about, the jealousies are all about, the insecurities are all about. And, after getting done with it, I felt like we accomplished the task. Early reviews are very, very good, and I'm very proud of the book. And again, it's Chet Coppock, Laying It on the Line, and please buy it because, I'm having a hell of a tough time paying my rent.
I love an honest appeal. When a guy really just speaks from the heart to you there.
And if you do wish to buy it, we'll point this out. You're doing a lot of book signings in the Chicago area. You can buy the book there. You can also get it exclusively online. And we tweeted out the link so people can find it. We'll also post the link on our website a little bit later on. It's through a website through youbuildabook.com.
Hey, just check it out. I think people will really dig it. But hey guys, besides the book, we have other things we can talk about. We got to talk about the Bears, the Cubs, the White Sox. Anything you guys want to put on the table right now? Let's rock and roll.
One thing, I got to go back to the book for just one thing. As a kid growing up and watching Cub games, you come home from school, you flip them on. It's basically when they were on all the time, back when you could enjoy it. A huge Jack Brickhouse fan. I love Jack Brickhouse. You got the Jack Brickhouse Lifetime Achievement Award. But the story with you and Jack Brickhouse goes beyond that, doesn't it?
Well, it really does. Jack and my dad were good friends, played a lot of gin together back in the day when I was very young. And, Jack was someone I can recall at a very early age, sitting in the den of his home over in Wilmette. And this little den was just on overload with trophies and plaques and all these books about sports. And I would sit in there almost in awe for hours at a time while my dad played gin. Then, later on in my late teens, early 20s, Jack very much felt that I should go and get a degree and do my 4-year tenure at college. Well, I had a couple of career breaks and never finished college, so Jack and I really had kind of a falling out. Fortunately, we repaired it. We went on to become great, great friends. You can only imagine what a thrill it was for me to, work banquets side by side with Jack, interview Jack for television, interview him on my radio show. When he passed away, I can tell you without hesitation that I wept like a baby. And then, last fall, with his widow, Pat Edelson Brickhouse by my side, when I was inducted into the Chicago Sports Hall of Fame and received the Lifetime Achievement Award named for Jack Brickhouse. it was really kind of like the culmination, if you will, kind of like the cherry on top of the apple pie or the ice cream, whatever the heck it is. But it was something very, very special. I talk about it in the book, and I think it's, again, the one thing that I felt had to come through in this book was that, you guys know this as well as I do. We're in a business where there's a great deal of conflict. There's a remarkable degree of jealousy. I mean, probably more jealousy than there is anywhere east of Hollywood, California. And as you climb up the ladder, it becomes progressively more defiant and more vitriolic, if you will. Vitriolic. I don't even know what the hell it is.
That's a great word. Well done.
Wow, where did I... Hold on, time out. Somebody go check vitriolic, see if it's really a word.
Chet Coppock with us. ChetCoppock.com. The new book is laying it on the line. I want to get back to the book later because I have another question or two. But yes, let's talk a little sports. Chet, the NFL season's around the corner. You've been to I don't know how many consecutive Bears opening dates at Soldier Field. And Bears fans want to know, is this the team? Mark Trestman and Jay Cutler, that particular team, that duo, is that a duo to bring the Bears back to the Super Bowl?
Well, let me bring some joy into the hearts of your listeners on this gorgeous Friday here in the Midwest. I can tell you totally and unequivocally, the answer is no.
Oh.
And by the way, if you're scrolling at home, I will be attending, if you can imagine this, my 64th consecutive Chicago Bears home opener when they play Buffalo on, I believe it's September 8th. 64 consecutive. Even George Halas can't make that claim. He was in the Navy. But anyway, here's the issue, guys, I have with the Bears. I think Forte's production is going to dip. He's carried the ball too many times over the past 3 years. They do have a couple of, just superlative wideouts with Alshon Jeffries and Marshall Bennett. If he keeps his head together, is probably the best tight end option they've had since Mike Ditka. But the offensive line right now, I think, is very suspect. The defensive line, I think, has been grossly overrated because people are so giddy about Jared Allen. Well, Jared is no longer playing on that skating rink in the Humphrey Metrodome. He's now playing in the mud, soil, and grime of Soldier Field. I think his sack numbers will dip. I don't think he'll record double digits. You're uncertain at the Mike linebacker, the Sam linebacker, a couple of secondary spots. That doesn't really scream Super Bowl to me. That says 9-7, maybe 10-6, and yet another second-place finish behind Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers. Until Jay Cutler shows me that he can go up to Lambeau Field and legitimately head-to-head beat Aaron Cutler, all bets are off.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, let's shift. We go from the Bears to the Cubs now. Scott,
now that I've ruined your day, let's move on.
Yeah, we move on to another day ruiner. Of course, talking Cubs. How long is it going to be before the magic that we Cub fans were promised at the hands of Theo and the Ricketts family actually takes root?
You know what? That's a great question. It really is, because I don't think the answer is really discernible. Every time I look at Javi Baez, I see this guy with hands like Gary Sheffield, remarkable bat speed, great torque, but he's a guy who also, struck out again yesterday 4 times. His plate coverage is not good. Guys, this team just got done with a 4-game series with Milwaukee in which they struck out. Think about this. 77 times? I mean, that's impossible. Who does that? But anyway, next year depends on several things. Number one, you're going to hope that the Bryant kid can emerge for you. You're going to hope that the Solar kid can emerge for you. But even though Kyle Hendricks has looked good late, you're still weak in the department of pitching, and they will be looking for a big, sturdy horse of a right-hander with attitude. And didn't they have one by the name of Jeffrey Samardzija, who was just traded to Oakland about a month ago for a shortstop named Addison Russell?
Yep.
I will tell you this much. Starlin Castro won't be with this team next year.
He could be flipped. They've got depth at shortstop now.
Well, they do. I mean, it's the one position where they've got surplus, and teams are always looking for middle infielders. So I think that Addison Russell will be their opening day shortstop, and they'll have Baez at second base, and I think Starlin Castro will wind up with some American League team in exchange for a guy who will be hopefully a legitimate number 2 starter.
Chet Coppock.
That's my off-season plan for Theo Epstein, and believe me, the next time Theo Epstein listens to me will be the first time.
Chet Coppock with us, the new book, the autobiography, Chet Coppock, Laying It on the Line. You can find our Twitter feed right now for the link to order it online. We'll put a post on the website a little later, too. Let's one more sports question here before we get back to the book. The Bulls are in the off-season. The Bulls have watched the Cavaliers acquire LeBron James and Kevin Love. Chet,
Yeah.
is the window to win a championship with Derrick Rose already over?
Well, your phraseology there has such great finality to it that I really have to say no. Assuming Cleveland stays healthy with with Love and LeBron, and I'm a big Anderson Varejao guy. Assuming that they stay in one piece, they will win the Central. As for the Bulls, when he's played 10 games over 2 years, I've got to be convinced that Derrick Rose can play 75, 80 ball games for Tom Thibodeau. But is the window completely shut? No, because of the uncertainty of injuries. One thing about LeBron is, LeBron is overdue for an injury, and I don't say that to be malicious. I think LeBron James is positively majestic, but given the volume of minutes he's already logged, and the fact that he still is really a young man, I believe he's only 28 years old. He's due for a knee, or he's due for an ankle, or some type of foot injury. So if that transpires, the window not only is open, you go leaping through it. But I don't know. I don't know how much Pau Gasol is going to help his ball club at the age of 34, 35. I'm not sure DJ Augustine is going to play as well this year as he played last year. I'm not nearly as captivated by Taj Gibson as the local media is here in Chicago. But nevertheless, I will say this much: if Rose stays healthy the entire year and holds up, it's a ball club that should win somewhere between, I would think, 52 and 56 ball games. Yeah, and they'll likely finish second to LeBron and Cleveland, because they'll win about 62. So it's going to be an enjoyable year, and eventually the two clubs will meet probably in the second round of the playoffs, and it'll likely be 5 games, and bye-bye birdie.
Be well worth it.
Wonderful news I'm bringing you on a Friday.
Yeah. Spending some time.
The economy is going to collapse.
Spending some time with the great Chet Coppock. His book out is called Laying It on the Line. You mentioned earlier to us, warts and all. I know you talk about your kids in there. When you do a warts and all book and you lay it out, you take yourself to task more than anybody else, as you mentioned. How painful was it, and how difficult was it to go, all right, yep, that's got to go on the page?
Well, it's a challenge, because you have to be honest with yourself. But the more you get into it, and the more you write, the more you find that your cranium is opening up, your heart's opening up. And I felt like I had to admit that my marriage failed because of me. I probably wasn't the world's greatest father because I was, just so consumed by this business at an early age. I recall the first job I had. I was a glorified copy boy at WFLD TV, Channel 32 here in Chicago, and my hours were 2:30 to 10:30, and I used to get to the station every day by about noon. I just wanted to hang out. I just wanted to be part of the action. I would show up hoping they'd say, hey, Coppock, go over and cover, Mayor Daley's news conference and run sound. So I had to say, my kids, fortunately, thanks to a wonderful wife, and we divorced about 7 years ago, have turned out to be wonderful children. And again, I think the hours I put forth and the sacrifices I made my wife make for really nothing more than the selfishness of my career, I had to admit that that combined along with dealing, very privately for years and years with depression that I really kept under wraps, I came clean. And it was really, guys, to bring it down to a simple phrase. It was very cathartic for me.
Chet Coppock with us here. A few more minutes. It's Riley and Scot on WROK. The new book, Laying It on the Line. Chet's doing some book signings. You can grab it there. Also, a link on our Twitter feed right now. We'll get it up on the website in a bit, too, where you can buy it online. All right, to the business, to the radio business. We know here the importance of good guests. You're right at the top of our list, of course, best guests. But you've interviewed thousands of people through the years on the show. You got to do a quick top three best guests. Who does Chet Coppock want to talk to?
And go worst, too, if you want.
Here. I'll tell you what, if we were going to do 2 hours of Coppock on sports, and let's say I'm going to have 4 guests on the show, in no particular order, the 4 I would want would be, number one, in his prime, before he fought Joe Frazier the third time, I'd want Muhammad Ali. Flamboyant, engaging, outrageous, colorful, intriguing. I have a picture of Muhammad that dates back to 1974, right before he left to fly to Zaire to fight George Foreman. I would want Peter Everett Rose, banned by Major League Baseball, but nevertheless a guy who's always treated me like $1 million and gave me an unforgettable moment in '95 when I was doing television in New York. We were down in Miami for the god-awful Super Bowl between San Diego and San Francisco, and I called up Pete. We were doing a Saturday special at 10 o'clock Eastern Time for 2 hours, and I called Pete in Boca and said, hey, Pete, I could really use a favor. Would you mind, driving in and doing the show? Well, I mean, he needed this like he needed malaria. But he made the 100-mile round trip, came down, and was, I mean, when Pete's on his A game, nobody's better. Number 3, I'm going to shock you with this. Vince McMahon.
Oh, yeah.
Egomaniacal. Check to see if there's a word called egomaniacal while you're at it. Egomaniacal, but loaded with funk, loaded with energy. At once defiant, at once very, very passionate about what he does. He's a guy I'd like to chat with, whether it's casual or on the air. He'd be number 3, and then number 4. I'm going to go with the hometown boy. I'll go with Michael Teller-Dicker, who is unfailingly a fabulous interview. Never hesitates to say what's on his mind. Those guys would be, fellas, my top 4. Then after we do the show, we'd all go out and get drunk together.
Now, Chet, before we let you go, we promised, and I almost forgot. I'm glad you reminded me. We promised people we'd ask you about your time doing the PA, doing the ring work for the WWF, WrestleMania 2, I believe, right at the Rosemont Horizon.
Yeah.
PA work. What was it like being around those guys?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, what I would give to turn back the hands and do that all over again. The legendary Jack Brickhouse used to call professional wrestling guerrilla theater. And I did wrestling on television for 10 years, and I got involved with Vince in '86 and did WrestleMania 2 here in Chicago, and then went on to ring announce for the old WWF, pre-WWE for about 7 years, and I had more fun than the law allows. And guys like Terry Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and, the brooding Jake Roberts and Colonel Jimmy Hart and the Honky Tonk Man. I mean, these guys, Bobby Heenan, these guys were so much fun to be around. And I often would get done with cards. And what was then the Rosemont Horizon is now the Allstate Arena, just over by O'Hare. I would get done with shows and then go out and laugh with the guys afterwards. And I used to tell Barry Fox, the local promoter, told him this after almost every show. And I'd say, Foxy, you know what? I had so much fun doing this tonight. I've had so many laughs. It's almost criminal that you pay me. I should really pay you.
You never did, though, did you?
Yeah, let's continue to be criminal. Keep paying me.
Thank God Foxy never took me seriously.
He's Chet Coppock, the new book, Laying It on the Line. And by the way, you had said earlier, the fat guys shouldn't be dancing at halftime. Go to eBay, 99 cents. Oh, you're so wrong, Chet. Right now, $4.53, free shipping.
That proves there's a sucker born every minute. Guys, listen, if I can say in closing, being on with you guys is just a blast. What you do, you're fun, you're engaging, you're enjoyable, you don't take yourself seriously, you love to laugh. If I can ever help you out before a Bear game or a Notre Dame game or Michigan, Ohio State, or whatever, hey, mark me down as an absolute yes, because going on with you guys is a treat. It really is.
Well, do not think we will not take you up on the offer,
And
Chet,
appreciate the
upcoming
compliment,
season.
too.
Yes.
If I were you guys right now, I'd run like hell.
Chet, have a fantastic weekend, will you?
Thank you, my good friend. Take care, fellas, and peace, love, and rock and roll. Let's do it again sooner rather than later.